another episode of Box Mining. I think it's no secret here that I am just bloody tired. Like, yeah, it's been a rough few days. Yesterday, so the biggest whale news out there, the biggest one, the biggest elephant in the room right now is that the CTFC is charging BitMEX. So BitMEX being the leveraged derivatives exchange platform, offer haze platform with a lot of charges. And these charges aren't just civil charges, but they also arrested the CTO of BitMEX as well. So this happened late on Thursday. And this actually has some ramifications for exchanges going forward, because these charges being placed right now are not just for simple things like operating an exchange, but it's very interesting. They're charging them with money laundering and pretty much everything they can throw at them. Now, this is a very interesting case because it's the first really of its kind, something this big, massively being charged and levied. And this is something that's not unexpected. BitMEX for the past year or so has been extremely careful. They pretty much banned all US IPs, and not just that, but they started requiring KYC. They start banning people in Hong Kong. Like, this is why one of the reasons why I don't use BitMEX anymore. But yeah, so there was a lot of just running, and now finally, CTFC is catching up. But this is also an interesting case because, did they really do anything wrong relative to all the banks out there too? Because after all, if you actually, this is something that, the irony of all this being pointed out is this sort of legality issue where, departments chase after new exchanges, whatnot. DeFi puts a challenge to the traditional institution, and the traditional institution gets away with pretty much money laundering. Pretty much everything that they say supporting terrorism, check, that's done. Like, that's been done super heavily in the past. I mean, if you look up at any bank, and we're going to look at this as well in terms of violation tracker, basically, essentially, like outright scamming their customers, toxic security abuses. There's a whole documentary on HSBC money laundering for the Mexican cartel. Yeah, supporting pretty much drug trafficking and everything. And yeah, what do they get? They get these minor fines, a little slap on the wrist, Yeah, just yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we'll fine you a little bit for the billions and trillions of dollars they're making off illegal activities. So this is something that's, we're going to talk about the challenges too. I think it's very important to bring that to light as well. Obviously in crypto, like, I don't support illegal activities in crypto. All right, that doesn't make any sense. Like, look, I don't want to support people, selling drugs or whatnot on the internet. This is like technology. This is a reform. Yes, it's going to be abused, but let's not try to make it worse than it is, right? But at the same time, what this technology means is it challenges traditional structures, and the traditional infrastructures are already corrupt. And this is why there's so much energy in crypto right now. So anyways, long debate cut short, that's pretty much it is. Also, we're going to answer a few questions. Everyone's asking me about all these crazy coins, and honestly, this week has been pretty bad, to be honest. I've been feeling in crypto, what's been happening is that after the DeFi wave, it's, everyone knows it's kind of like ending soon. DeFi projects were kind of dropping a little bit. Everyone's looking for the next new speculation. So we have a huge push for NFTs, which I'm really glad for, by the way. But at the same time, I'm also very skeptical about the long-term kind of sustainability of this hype. And not just with NFTs too, but also this week, a lot of tokens that are designed specifically to have interesting tokenomics, they are getting a lot of attention. So we just had people ask about Core or about Orb or about all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I really hope this is not the direction in which crypto is going to go for the next few months, because the problem is that these projects don't really have feet, or at least they haven't proven themselves to have feet at this current point. So right now we've seen this huge trend towards ultra degenerate speculation. People essentially, oh my God, it's it's like it's just crazy. So we seem to have this divide, anyways, in the past few days, where people who have been kind of looking at everything kind of closely, they're either taking a break, you know, let the wave ride out, or they turn into ultra degenerates, which is hilarious. But at the same time, for me, I'm always trying to look for some more value here. At least on this channel, it's a situation where if a project has legs, it's going to go on for a long time. But if you push that degeneracy closer and closer and closer, and cutting that to outright speculation on a few words written on a little help document, whether of what they're going to do in the future, that's extremely speculative. So anyways, we'll talk about that, but I recognize a lot of people love this, and anyways, we'll go on and have a full-on channel discussion about this to the end. So I'm not gonna throw any projects under the bus. Yesterday or last session, I was a little bit sensitive. People were very sensitive and protective about the coins they're holding, and this is something that is a trend. I recognize that. I recognize people are very protective, and that's just crypto, right? So I'm getting used to that. That's something that, if you remember the last stream, the project Many. So I found out that the project Many had a bounty. So they were giving out free coins to anyone who would show Many on my channel. So during the live stream, I was like, oh, talk about Many. It's the best thing in the world. And then when I said, oh, hey, you know what? It's still speculative. Who knows if they have any long-term value? People got pissed. And this is a very clear situation where, yes, I want to listen to the community, but at the same time, this community was highly motivated to say good things because they were getting essentially paid for their paid shows, literally. So anyways, that kind of ticked me off last session. But I kind of understood, what they're trying to do. I'm not going to be angry, but at the same time, I'm just going to identify that this is a trend. Paid shows are a thing. It has a bad name for it, but that's literally what it was. And yeah, anyways, just getting over that, being part of crypto and everything. Anyways, let's get started. Just before we start, guys, we have the podcast. Let me tell you a little bit about my podcast in my podcast voice. So Bitcoin Out of the Box is my podcast. We have the new NFT coverage. This is a really good debate, by the way. So it's the same one as in the video, but we just put it in better audio format. This is almost an hour long debating about NFTs, and this is one that you should really pay attention to because non-fungible tokens are getting so much attention, not just like Rev, but like variables, but Wax, Engine, OpenSea, all that stuff. Everyone's making NFTs. I mean, we saw coin artists making NFTs. We got crypto locally making NFTs. We saw these artists getting funded. And I think this is a really good topic because there's a lot of speculation here about all these platforms. And I played a serious devil advocate in here where I talk about some of the limitations going forward. And Yasu, who's very, very deep into NFTs, he's and his company invested very early into a lot of projects like Axie Infinity. They're doing Rev, they're doing Sandbox, their Animoca Brands was the distributor for CryptoKitties. But anyways, we debate very, very heavily on basically the values and the merits of everything here. So anyways, this is a discussion very, very much worth listening to. We're adding more discussions onto the podcast as well. And the reason for this is because it's just easy to listen to on the go. Pretty easy. It's just simply like a lot of these interviews, it can last longer. And if you're listening to it on the go, I think that's a perfect format for everything here. So Bitcoin Out of the Box, search for it on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much every single podcast out there. I'm also going to put the link on there as well. And we have some comments and there. We got Eclipse crypto is all about speculation. It is so true. It is absolutely true. Crypto is highly speculative, but over the years we discovered a lot of value as well. In fact, Bitcoin, a lot of people question about Bitcoin. Oh, what's a speculative use? I mean, you talk to Peter, you listen to Peter Schiff rather, and he's like, oh my God, it's useless. It's going to go to zero. But it actually has a lot of use that became basically a decentralized currency, a form of value transfer that can take all over the world. Now, the key thing now is that it's important to remember that Bitcoin has already pretty much dominated the decentralized currency scene, because after all, it has one of the best networks supporting it, most decentralized, because it's free to join, has the most hash power out there, and also it has some of the most nodes out there too. So Bitcoin network already took that, and being the first one there. This is why I don't think Bitcoin is, many attempts have been challenged. Many have attempted to challenge Bitcoin at its dominance, but Bitcoin dominance, it's pretty much the grandfather of all coins. I mean, I don't think it's just stating the obvious here at this current point, right? So whilst Bitcoin made that innovation, so going forward, to improve upon Bitcoin, you need to be 10x better or do something at a different angle, which, Ethereum did. It made it pretty much say, it's, well, like turning complete. You can program on it. I'm just a little bit annoyed. It was Siri was perking her ears up again. But at this point, you have to be a lot better, and which is the biggest problem that I see with a lot of these new tokenomics coins, where they're speculative for being speculative. They're created to be speculative, but at the end of the day, they don't offer something that's 10x better. And that's the biggest challenge for me going through. Like, how do you rationalize all these new coin projects? And anyways, let me go through. I'm gonna rant towards the end of the session about that. I know you guys are all dying to hear what I think about X, Y, and Z, and we'll have a great discussion about that. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I'm configuring everything for speculative markets like that. So let's just go and check out what's happening on the markets right now. So we had a little bit of a dip yesterday. So this dip is just a direct result of the CTFC announcement. So this immediately after this was announced, basically CTFC charges BitMEX with illegally operating derivatives exchange. So they filed a civil enforcement action, but also because of the wire fraud and because of the anti-money laundering, it could be criminal as well, which was why arrests were made immediately. So the CTO of BitMEX was arrested, but not Arthur Hayes. So like, the only one out of the 4 accused were arrested, but it's a very interesting case going forward. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then over here, so that affected the markets in pretty much the same way. So you can just see on every single mini chart here, last 7 days, you can just see that little dip. Bloop, bloop, bloop. So yeah, so boom, 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 everything got affected almost all at the same time. It just goes to show yet again, it's like very crypto, right? We have everything linked together, even though they do completely different things, but that's a story for another time. So immediately we had a little bit of dip, and then we started recovering afterwards. So after a few hours, people were like, you know what, it's not that bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. Get over it, guys. Cry another day, and that's it. But being so now we're kind of dealing with that. We're finding our support again, and we'll talk a little bit about it. We'll look very closely at the BitMEX thing a little bit. But the key thing here is I just want to say this, and I've said this already. Not hating on BitMEX, but if you guys have funds in BitMEX, do consider withdrawing them, like ASAP. I've dealt with, and people were asking me in comments just now, are you still mad about Mt. Gox, etc. I've dealt with exchanges closing before. In fact, Mt. Gox, one of the first cryptocurrency exchanges that I've ever went into, that just died, right? And that was because they got hacked. Here, obviously, it might get closed by the CTFC, depending on how the legal proceedings go. But if the withdraw button gets removed somehow, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So just a warning out there, right? So right now you have a withdraw button, you can withdraw your Bitcoin, and that's a possibility. Don't be lazy about it. I think this is if that's a possibility right now, like if you have funds there, because of these, there's no point to be loyal at this point, right? Let them deal with it. If it's good, if everything's clear, go back. But if not, the withdraw button's here right now, but in the future, if the website gets closed down or if there are further actions, then it might be a lot harder. With might be being a very understatement. So the story of Mt. Gox, and I'm not sure many people have experienced this before, but Mt. Gox got hacked, and then the liquidators took over, legal proceedings took over, and it's still 3 years, and yeah, that withdrawal is still not there. So there we go. All right. So we're kind of bouncing back. That's okay. That's okay for the entire market. And I think this is where, yet again, we're still looking at the long-term value of everything here. Sure. I think a lot of the fear that's caused that causes dip is not just BitMEX, obviously. BitMEX having a huge role in its future in the futures. It's also about what can happen next, obviously. So now people are asking questions about other derivative exchanges like Bybit or Deribit or FTX or even Binance, which has futures now. So what about all these other futures exchanges? What about the other big exchanges? Will they face similar criminal action as well? And this is a big issue as well because guess what? We don't know what's going to happen next. Only the CTFC knows, and then obviously it's been kind of planned for a long period of time. And this is, like I said, this is definitely planned for a period of time because the last time I tried to get an interview with BitMEX, which is all the way back in Taipei, I was in 2019-ish. And during that time, it was very hard to even get an interview because they were very, very concerned at that time of having any Americans viewing any of their videos. So it just seems like to be a case where, like, to apply to get an interview with Arthur Hayes, it was just like I had to speak to lawyers and more lawyers, and they were asking about regional restrictions on YouTube and applying those regional restrictions so Arthur's face never shows up in front of Americans, right? So this is a very clear case where this has been going on for some time, and then suddenly, bam, something happened, right? So that's kind of what I feel like is happening. So anyways, I don't think it was very surprising, but let's take a look at the news and how that affects everything here for the time being. So what did they get charged with? So it's the CTFC that came out with the charges, and then for operating an unregistered trading platform and violating anti-money laundering operations. So they filed a civil enforcement. All right, so that's what happened. And then also in terms of kind of what happened. So I'll just read this tweet, which is a little bit more interesting. So, this is like, yes, yet again, it's done by the community, but I think it has some very interesting kind of responses here. So let's say, okay, so it's bad for okay, so starting off, this is from Adam Cochrane. So a lot of crypto Twitter doesn't understand why today's news is just bad for CeFi, but also bad for DeFi. It has something to do with a legal nuisance and a little thing called the Bank Secrecy Act. Here's a rundown for you. So the US is a complicated patchwork of jurisdictions when it comes to laws, as multiple regulatory bodies, multiple types of laws, civil versus criminal, etc., etc., etc. And it's basically a hefty debate of how those laws apply. So I'm not a US lawyer, all right? I'm reading this. Yeah, it's very, very complicated, and you need a lawyer to explain this. But this seems to be the best explanation I found. So let's continue in a few ways. So you apply the law in a few ways. First, the letter of the law, which you apply a law only as written. Second, it's the spirit of the law, where you try to apply the purpose of the law rather than the specific word. This gets applied more in criminal cases. Today, joint charges from the CTFC and the DOJ were handed down to BitMEX. So this is why there were arrests made. So it's not just because of a civil charge, right? So done by the CTFC, but the DOJ also pressed charges as well. The CTFC is a regulator like the SEC that handles commodities, applies regulatory and civil penalties, but it does not pursue criminal action. It lets the DOJ handle that. So this is why there were arrests made. CTFC is a regulatory body, but they let the DOJ, so it was a joint operation, so they already planned this for some period of time, joint operation being charged. So BitMEX was charged by the CTFC as running an unlicensed commodities exchange, which allows US customers. Just like dealing with the SEC, the ways the rules are written and applied and the spirit of these rules in the CTFC guidelines make it unclear if the regulation should apply to DeFi. So this goes yet again back to DeFi and the long-term kind of issues facing crypto. And this is why crypto overall went down, because if this is the first case of many, right? And we don't know if this only applies to other CeFi or if it applies to DeFi. And this is what the uncertainty, this is the FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt clouding the overall market. Does this mean it's one of the first of many cases that's going to be applied into crypto? Or is this just one-off case? This is unknown at this current point. But of course, it's a double whammy, right? It's not just a single CTFC charge. The CTFCs went to the DOJ, Department of Justice, and say, yo, arrest these guys, arrest these guys. And that's what happened. That's why there were arrests made. And this is why people also in this industry quite concerned. No one wants to go to jail at this current point. So yet again, it's like, does this affect the overall market? Does it not affect the overall market? So anyways, continue on. You can see the SEC and CTFC laws were made as consumer protections to prevent consumers trusting the wrong person and getting taken advantage of. This is why the SEC cases have focused on fraud, promise of return over centralized admin keys. So if the crypto community might be right that the CTFC regulation may not apply that to DeFi, but it's a gray area because it could be argued the consumer is safe in a limited sense, but the CTFC charges would result in financial penalties. So yet again, this is very interesting. We're going into uncharted territories here. The DOJ handles the prosecution of the BSA, which includes criminal charges. So this is the Bank Secrecy Act. The Bank Secrecy Act does not have the goal of protecting consumers. It just has a goal of stopping money laundering. So rather than things like the CTFC, where the law says, if I can run an exchange, you have to register with us so we can keep your users safe. The BSA essentially says, if you in any knowing or purposely or through failure to meet industry standards support, enable, facilitate, or profit from money laundering, we're going to throw the book at you. Very interesting. So now many people presume that there is some sort of magical peer-to-peer exemption that exists in these laws. I'm not sure where the myth comes from. It might be an oversimplification of understanding the SEC and CTFC limitations, but it does not exist. So this is very interesting going forward as well. So I think like, you know, it's been a period for the past 3 years where the mouse came out to play. That's been pretty interesting, right? So a lot of people have been trying to think like, oh, maybe it doesn't apply to us. It does. And even when it comes to locally peer-to-peer transactions, it's harder to track and your smaller targets, but it doesn't mean the law doesn't apply. And we've seen that before as well, where if you sell Bitcoin peer-to-peer and you transact a lot of Bitcoin, criminal charges could be applied if compliance to anti-money laundering standards are not done. Now, this is of course very hypocritical. All right. So let me just finish reading a little bit of what else is important here. It's a very, very long tweet. I'll link it. I'll actually retweet it and I'll link it here in the chat so you guys can read the entire thing. But that's kind of the gist of it. Like, it's the overall what happened, I think, and we don't really see that on the coverage, is that this isn't just a CTFC charge. A CTFC charge normally would mean that, oh, hey, just, you know, hey, don't do it. Here's the penalty. But it also has some criminal charges here because of the Bank Secrecy Act, which they're accusing BitMEX of not complying completely with the industry standard, you know, keyword industry standard of anti-money laundering. Now, the interesting thing here is, of course, central banks have been doing that for ages, right? So not only are they like found on money laundering, but like HSBC money laundering, but no one really gets arrested. People just get a slight slap on the wrist, right? This is kind of funny. You can search the HSBC money laundering scandal. Basically, they agreed to pay a $1.9 billion fine, but the charges here are real and they were found guilty. And this is a case where, because of the bank size, it appears that some of here, it's too big to go to jail. This is the problem with the banking institution right now. So whilst we can read all this law and the legal issues, the key here to remember is that because BitMEX is smaller than HSBC, the DOJ can bully them no matter what, right? And they can get drastically beat on by the central regulators here. But the problem, of course, is that the world's unfair. It's just so ridiculous. The world's unfair. Basically, all the central banks, they've been caught doing all this stuff, but because it's too expensive, you know, it's too detrimental to replace the banks out there, just let it slide. Just it's okay. Just let it slide. Law doesn't apply. And this is the worst part about this world, is that you think that the laws apply equally to everyone. That's the fairest way forward. But nope. Laws seem to be quite selectively applied to crypto right now. Obviously, like I said, I'm not trying to use this as an excuse to promote criminal activity. I don't support that in any way on this channel. But it's important to remember that I think BitMEX also demonstrated that they wanted to comply. Whether or not they complied in the past, I don't know. I wasn't there very early. I'm not a very big, crazy BitMEX supporter that, for a long time, they offer tools to crypto people. But at the same time, they also need to do their part to fight crime. So I think this is something that is going to go on for ages forward. And I think we're going to have infinite number of debates on it. But I just wanted to raise the awareness that, it might sound bad, but check out something else as well for violation tracker HSBC. I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy of this as well. But you can go HSBC. I'm not targeting HSBC directly, but it's one of them. So you can actually see how many offenses they've been caught and the penalty applied. This is kind of the craziest thing about the world, but whether it's financial offenses, competitive related consumer protection related offenses, or any anti-money laundering deficiencies, toxic security abuses, banking violations. Anyway, just search for this on Google. You'll find a lot of cool stuff. Every single bank is guilty of it because there's just so much money involved, right? So you can see the number of cases, number of fines, the number of charges, but also because they're so big to fail. Magic. So anyways, that's kind of the case in this way. Okay, so we got reading some comments. So don't touch your mic. Sorry about that. I'll try to adjust it to a better location. Let's see. Technology says at Box Mining, do you think this is preparing for crypto ETFs? I don't really think so. I think like maybe they want to promote their CTFC wants to do more with their ETFs, but at the end of the day, I feel like this is something that has been going on for some time. I mean, like I said, BitMEX was just pretty much blocking everything for a period of time. I mean, they were requiring KYC, which they didn't require before, and then they were blocking more and more users, including users from Hong Kong or whatnot. Like previously, they didn't do it, right? So it's very obvious that they were under some sort of legal trouble. Right? That was kind of the case, and like the fact is, if you want to speak to them, you have to go through layers of lawyers. I think that's telling enough. So I think it's a situation where it's been prepared for a long time and we just see it surface today. My 2 cents on that. Julian Frost says BitMEX made the mistake of not getting rid of US customers, allowing leverage and boasting about people getting wrecked. And I think this can apply to a lot of other exchanges too. So initially, a lot of exchanges didn't require KYC. So this will be a problem not just for BitMEX, but also for other exchanges. I think including some exchanges, I'm not going to put names here because it's pretty much every exchange in the industry is pretty much guilty of this. So initially, when these exchanges start, they pretty much allow a 2 Bitcoin withdrawal without KYC. So that means if they allow US users or whatnot, then the DOJ and the CTFC can come after them, right, for whatever they're trying to do. So this is a very interesting case. It's probably the first case of its kind. They're probably going to test how far they can push this. And also, of course, this will send shockwaves through the entire industry. Any exchange that has accepted US, customers, that's it. That's kind of funny, of course, obviously, like a lot of these exchanges are not registered in the US. I read a few funny tweets yesterday. I'll just read them out to you. I found it quite funny. It's not. So this is the tweet I sent out, where have we seen this before? Big banks, fraud, money laundering, toxic security abuses fined. Crypto accepts Americans jailed. That's so sad, but it's also so true. There was another kind of tweet that was very interesting. Let me just make sure I find it. Or maybe I did not retweet it. Oh, this was quite funny. So Crypto BitLord changed his name to Arthur Hayes. He's like, laughing my ass off. Motherfuckers, come and get me. It's not the real offer haze. But I found that was hilarious. I was like, the level of trolling in crypto is hilarious. I hope, we don't know where offer is right now, but we'll have to see where that's happening. We also have, let me just double check. Let me see one more tweet for you guys. There was an extract from the thing. So about coconuts, but anyways, okay, I don't think I can find it now, but yeah, it was kind of funny. There's a bunch of funny tweets yesterday. That's where I spend all my time, guys, just reading tweets all day. Sometimes you get good info, sometimes you get the most hilarious information ever. So that's life, right? That's life. So anyways, that's kind of the rundown of what's happening here. So it's both not just charges applied by the CTFC, but also enforcement from the DOJ as well, which is what's leading to the first arrest of the four founding members of BitMEX. But yet again, offer hate's not there. So anyway, so we'll see that. Yearn.finance offers in Singapore. I think this is the unfortunate part. Like the CTO was in the States, and that's why the arrest could be made. Now it's about international law enforcement. An offer is in Singapore, so now it's about international law enforcement. We'll have to see how that goes, but yeah. So Yearn.finance, I can ask our police to go get him at any time, guys. LOL. It's that enforcement, like international enforcement, is even crazier. And by the way, we got Clement Ip. Thank you so much for the $23 donation. Thank you, Clement. Genesis Block supporting. And by the way, guys, big shout outs to Genesis Block. They're pushing crypto very, very forward in Hong Kong. So if you want to check out what's happening in Hong Kong, Genesis Block is a Bitcoin center here, and it's not related to any of the other stuff. It's just Genesis Block Hong Kong. And it's doing quite a lot to push crypto forward. And also, if you want to do any OTC, basically selling large quantities or even small quantities of crypto, even for international customers, depending on your regional where you are in the world, but they offer OTC exchanges as well. And it's the crypto exchange that I use, like crypto OTC I use to get, trade my crypto in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong, there's no exchanges here. So small amounts, Swissborg, larger amounts, Genesis Block. That's the way it works. All right. So we've had an infinite number of questions. I'm going to go and run down all the questions concerning the CTFC BitMEX situation. I think a lot of people are concerned. If you guys are concerned, okay, if you're in BitMEX, I think be a little bit concerned, withdraw if you have to into a ledger, Trezor, or whatnot. If it's your keys, it's your crypto. That's a key, right? If you leave it on exchange, that's not your crypto, and applying to get your crypto back is insane. I want to say like Mt. Gox was horrific because they have Bitcoin that was basically, because the exchange closed and law enforcement came through, the liquidators are extremely slow at doing everything, and it was just a pain to get it back. And even if I can get any of my coins back from Mt. Gox, they would have been sold at a $400 evaluation for Bitcoin. I'm not even joking here. Like, they set the target price at the date of the liquidation. So even though Bitcoin went up in value, the upside, no one knows. It's going to be another legal proceeding to find what the upside is. But that's just ridiculous, right? Like, it's crazy. Like, you will not believe how crazy that legal system is. Like I just wrote it completely off the past few years. It's just like, it's trauma, write it off, because fighting that is just like, it's going to be a gigantic waste of time. And there were people offering me to buy the contract off me, right? Because you get a contract, you sign with them with the liquidation clause. People wanting to buy that off me for like 30% of the original value. It's just crazy because people just don't care anyways. But yeah, store in a ledger, that's the only way to safe way to keep crypto. And the fun thing, I think that's the interesting thing here, is that with the yield farming that's been going on, I moved a lot of cryptocurrencies out of exchanges, which is great, which means I don't have to worry too much, right? I'm actually not too worried because, well, my crypto is outside on a ledger, which is great. So thank you, yield farming. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita. Cryptograph indexes. MetaMask is great, and you have your own keys on MetaMask. Yes and no. So I use MetaMask with my ledger. So It offers extra security because when you store that crypto, it's not on your computer. Computers can get abused. And we've been seeing a few reports where some malicious farming websites directly attack the browser and try to attempt to steal your MetaMask keys. With Windows and Mac, these computers have a high degree of functionality, so it's very, very easy to steal keys from them. Viruses do that all the time, steal your personal information, and even if the key is encrypted, it's still possible to decrypt it with a key log. So essentially, people can key log your computer, find out what your password is, and then decrypt that key on your computer. That's why the ledgers are important, because they're another separate device. They are much harder to attack because they have a secure element inside which prevents things from happening. So what happens is that the key never leaves the device. So the hackers can never ever see it. The only thing they can see is signed transaction. So once a transaction is signed, it gets on your computer, which is much safer. So I think a lot of people still don't know the difference. I just want to just say that one more time. This is why we have all these dorky keys. Like all these crypto guys are all these like little dorky guys with like, their weird wallets and stuff. But honestly, if you're keeping a larger sum of cryptocurrencies, yeah, you don't want to leave that on your MetaMask. Let's just say that. Yeah, huge tip here. Huge tip here. So yeah, MetaMask plus Ledger is the best. Yeah, pretty much. So Ledger or Trezor, either or, one of the more reputable or larger firms which have been around for a while. That's probably the safest way forward. We still have Kucoin still has withdrawals and deposits disabled. It's pretty bad. Yeah, they got hacked, right? Remember? So derp. It's kind of interesting as well. So in terms of the Kucoin hack as well, I had a call with Dima from Hacken yesterday, and they're also, as a community service, trying to investigate what happened with the Kucoin hack and how it could have happened as well. So this is something that we're going to do an update in the future with Dima from Hacken. You guys know that I'm an advisor to Hacken, mostly because I like security. I've also made a few investments into them, obviously full disclosure, of course. But the whole point of this is that security is now pivotal to the whole cryptocurrency space. So whether it's from hackers, etc., yeah, you don't want your cryptocurrency in exchanges. You just want to know what's the best security and options available, and that is pretty much key. We got cryptograph indexes. Linux PC plus Ledger plus MetaMask is what I use. That's a smart way forward. Linux PC is always great. I tried to do that once. But like a dedicated Linux PC for everything. But sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes it gets hard to manage. Sometimes you just want to trade like very quickly, especially when yield farming. Typically speaking, like you want to have the ability to get in and out of a farm very quickly. So yeah, it's always a balance about what's going on. So cryptograms is these KuCoin funds are jumping all over. It seems like every whale alert is them. It's pretty much so. It's interesting as well. So the minor update I think I had Dima was that from Dima, and what they're investigating is it might have been like the KuCoin hack might have been a social engineering / inside job. It seems to be the bigger attack vector right now. We'll talk a little bit about social engineering. So the social engineering was also used to attack Twitter before. So remember the time when Twitter accounts were attacked by admin tools, when suddenly all these verified Twitter people were tweeting about Bitcoin and this Bitcoin giant giveaway where you send them Bitcoin and you can receive more Bitcoin back, that big scam? Well, that was caused by social engineering. And the way it works is these hackers pretend to be either big executives or whatever of Twitter, and then try to gain access to employees and then say, yo, give me those keys or give me some access or something or whatnot. So social engineering is becoming a very big attack vector too. So anyways, long rant short, that is the case right now. So speaking of everything here, let's go check out our other coins, and let's move to the bigger topic that everyone's asking a little bit about before, and all that farming jazz and stuff. So I'll give you a little bit of rundown of what I'm doing right now. So just very quickly, so I'm still farming quite aggressively. So one of the biggest farms I've been setting up is actually Lua this week. So this week I'm being a little bit more active, setting things up, but rewards have been quite crazy. So I'll give you an example of what's happening. So yet again, this is a very good example for the strategies going forward, and the details required to actually be profitable when farming. So first of all, when I went Lua farming, it's very clear, and you guys probably noticed that I almost never enter these pools. And this is the reason why is because they're highly volatile. So even though you see very, very large rewards, I think most people, when they look at farms, and obviously this is not financial advice, this is a first-hand account of what I do and what's happening. But a lot of people get tempted by these huge numbers. They buy up Lua, they put it with USDC, put it there. But what happens when the Lua token drops, which is exactly what happens here. So very, very few times do I ever go into these pools. I think I've only gone into them for Cream, Wi-Fi, and a few other select others where I really do believe in the project and I believe that there is buy pressure on that coin. So usually I don't ever touch this. So even though it says hot and recommended here, I think this is where the devious art marketing comes in. This is very, very difficult. So if you lose half your value overnight, 1000% APY is not going to save you, right? That's just plain and simple. It's plain English right there. So the other ones are here. So you have Tomo chain plus ETH, Tomo chain plus USD. So this is Ethereum based Tomo chain. And here's another place where you can apply a trick. So the APY is huge. And also, yet again, this is another trick that they've employed here as well. The APY, they only give you a portion of that. I think only 20% of that is unlocked. The rest is locked. Yet again, locked is dangerous because you don't know what the value of the locked tokens will be over time. But here is where you can apply an interesting strategy. Not sure if I can recommend this, but I'll just tell you what I did. So you can go on FTX and you can apply a short on Tomo. Right, so this is slightly interesting. So because you need to put the Tomo coin there, right? You can apply a short on Tomo. So let's say yesterday my entry price was around here. So I had to buy Tomo at around 1.14. The reason why is because the perpetual futures are actually lower than the actual coin price. But anyways, that's another detail. But anyways, I bought it at around this price. But obviously, if there's a downside like what we see that's happening here, you're going to lose out on impermanent loss, right? So I set that up. Then I set up also a short of the equal or a little slightly bit higher amount of Tomo chain. So this means that I effectively hold no coins, right? So if you have both, you hold the coin and you short the same amount, you effectively have no exposure to that asset. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. It's a lot more creative, I would say, to set these up. The rewards are really great, but yet again, I'm not going to tempt anyone there. I'm not going to teach anyone here. Like, I'll tell you guys how to do it, but I think that's the extent at which I want to do things, because it's highly complicated, highly easy to screw up, and I don't want to be responsible for anyone screwing their shit up, but it is ridiculously profitable after a while. So anyways, that's how that's how I'm roughly doing things. I'm much more safe now when I'm yield farming. That's just an example of how I set things up, where you kind of reduce exposure to the assets if you don't want to hold them. Like if I don't want to hold Tomo, that's how I do it. I could of course hold Tomo if I had Tomo and I'll just like hold it, but I was at a point where I was like, no, I don't want to hold Tomo. So here's a giant short, and that worked out really well, like really, really well. Like if I didn't do that, I would have lost pretty majorly here today because Tomo prices went down. So anyways, long story cut short, that was smart. Yeah. Hedging, it's called hedging. Michael Liu says it's hedging. That's the strategy for it. Amandi Parmars, thank you so much for the $15 donation. Thank you very much. Really, really grateful as well. Really, really thank you for the encouragement. So yeah, so that's how it is. I mean, and Bernard Macarius says, nice, Michael, hedging your bet. Absolutely. You must hedge your bet. And also just to say, it's not always the cleanest thing out there too. So basically when this was done, when I was hedging my bet, there was actually a gap between the price of Tomo versus the perpetual futures of Tomo. Like now, not so much, but you see the blue chart underneath that is where the trading prices are, and the charts here is where the perpetual futures are. So you just have to realize that there was a gap here as well. And the funding rate was actually quite high. So yesterday, the funding rate was around 0.1% for every hour. So if you are shorting, so if it's negative, shorts pay long. So I will be paying 0.1% per hour to keep my short alive. those are details that you have to factor in as well. It's not super simple, and obviously this is not available to Americans. Let's just point that out there. This is not available to Americans. So anyways, luckily here it's available to me. So again, regional restrictions apply to all these strategies. Not trying to promote anything, just telling people what I did before people get overly sensitive. Bomblo Bio says, thanks for your honesty. You're very smart and can greatly appreciate. Thanks. Keep it on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're trying because there's a, I've been trying to learn the best strategies for this. The other strategy, obviously, if farming is to borrow assets off cream. So essentially, this is also another strategy that people use. Like say if people are farming XY and coin and have to use XY coin, like, let me put that here. Like there's farms with YFI before, there's farms with Comp before, there's farms with Lend before, and Ren BTC. Previously for me, I just use whatever Ren I had, like say Ren itself, or YFI I had, that was from my own wallet. But I know a few friends that also just borrow it off cream. So they just put a lot of supply and then borrow that asset to farm with and then return it if they don't care for the asset. So anyways, there's a few very ingenious ways to do this. And you just have to be very flexible and creative. I think that's the key here. Creativity is king. So anyways, there we go. We got Bart says, anybody have referral for FTX? I have one too, so let me send that out. But yet again, if you're going on it, go. Thank you. If you're not, then I don't want to promote it either. So anyways, ftx.com. How do I do this? .co/FTX. All right, there you go. All right, some few questions more. So have you bought anything on Binance Smart Chain? So I was farming the crap out of Pancake for a while. I think that went very, very well this week. It got listed. So the moment, I think this is a strategy too. I think this is unfortunately one of the strategies is where something gets listed on Binance and you start immediately selling it. That's the strategy. So unfortunately, that's what happened to Pancake. So I did use BSC, like Binance Smart Chain, to farm quite a lot of Pancake. The rewards were quite good for some period of time. So people were talking about Binance Smart Chain. So rewards, so yet again, this is a pool to avoid. I was farming USD BNB, was farming DOT BNB, I was farming Burger BNB, I was farming Bake BNB. So basically pretty much in a line, which is great. So I can just click this, collect, click this, collect, click this, collect. And then obviously the coins went all the way up to around $1.3. And then after listing on Binance, it crashed down again. So yet again, it's a situation where I'm not too overly speculative on these ones. I don't really speculate too much on the underlying property. I did speculate a little bit. I did say I did go into this pool prior to the Binance listing because I felt like there was pressure to list. But after the listing, that was when I just said, you know what, that's my cue to exit. So I feel like this strategy has been adopted by quite a few people, unfortunately. So that's why the prices of Cake also dropped. So yet again, not financial advice, but this is also what I did as well. So you can go into this if like I don't want to overly promote this. Like I did go into this, but with certain conditions, and once those conditions were met, I exited, regardless of whether it's at its all-time high or not. That was smart, very obviously. So that's why I was like, I was flipping burgers and pancakes for a living. LOL. Pretty much so. That's it. That's pretty much it. Okay, so cryptographer, I think it's asking about XDAI for a lot, but I think this is a point where I would say on the public chat, we're gonna have a chat now, but we're gonna have some rules for the chat. So the same rules apply to my Telegram group, which is like if you promote a coin, you gotta tell where you enter at. And something that I'm being very kind of almost allergic to is recently in crypto, anyone who aggressively shows me a project, I immediately get turned off by it. It's like almost like a immediate reflex reaction. The moment someone gets overly aggressive and says, "Oh, have you heard about X coin? It's the next gem. It's going to replace everything," and it has these huge promises. That is when I'm just like, nope. I'm out. The same thing happened with many. Everyone was like, "Oh, many, it's the next meme," or many understand this. And then all of a sudden, when it's too aggressive, that's when my execute is, because unfortunately, aggressive shilling is when someone really wants to dump. That's just unfortunately what happens in crypto. I want this community to be built, but at the same time, because it's public, there's always people who are literally paid shills to promote a coin. So that was exactly what happened with many. They were promoted to show a coin on my channel, and then they can screenshot that and literally claim free coins afterwards. All right. Definitely not what I want to promote. Definitely the worst thing in the world. But anyways, anytime someone's aggressive with it, yeah, I get an allergic reaction and a rash. It says Angela. So that happens. I mean, just watch out. This week, we had a very, very aggressive speculation. I'll talk a little bit about, like, everyone was talking about core, right? So core vault finance, and it is extremely speculative. So like if you look at it, it went up and then went down and it went up again. Everyone's talking about it. The key thing about core, and the thing that I find, I like their interface. It's interesting. They have a new tokenomics where if you actually farm for core, all your core gets locked up forever, right? So there's like a perpetual lock on that core. So now if you want to farm core, it's like you're effectively burning it. It's very hardcore. And then there's a lot of speculation about this applying pressure for the coin to go up. But the problem here is that the long-term value of core, right? The long-term value is really just written here, where they just say, oh, look, it's in a vault strategy. I actually read this. It's in a vault strategy. Oh my God. Any user can contribute vaults. They're comparing themselves to Wi-Fi, and then it's going to be used to buy core. But the problem, of course, is that none of this is real. Right? None of this is real yet. We don't even know. We don't have any indication that this will work. So yet again, it's extremely speculative. It's like the amount of speculation here is massive, right? We have no clue whatsoever if vaults are going to be built, if users are going to submit the strategies, and if these strategies are going to work. But everyone wants to speculate. So in this short speculation time window, everyone who knows and talks about core, they focus on the tokenomics of it, which they think is going to cause upwards pressure because it's deflationary, right? This is where, for me personally, I'm not comfortable talking about it. I don't think this is the amount of speculation here is beyond what I think is reasonable. Here, yet again, can you make a speculative play? It's hard because maybe it's already done already. The speculative play might have been much earlier. This is the issue with farming 2.0. Yet again, farming 2.0, we've seen this with core. I think core is starting this, where they're pushing out deflationary models, they're pushing out burns. But the problem here is that also the people who get in very, very early, they make a frick ton of money, right? I've known people who were like scalping Uniswap initial swaps for core. They can make money there, but the problem is like, does it generate long-term value? I mean, it's already late phase. So yet again, it's one of those situations where very, very uncomfortable talking about this on this channel. I want to draw the issues of it, and the speculation is whether these vaults or not can be built. For me, the criteria for a project that I want to keep medium term to long term is always if they can generate some sort of value, like they can add something other than, oh, I'm a currency, right? That's because Bitcoin's done that, and any other ERC token can do that. But can they have any form of value longer term? Because if not, then this just makes it a big giant ass Ponzi, and and this would be classified not just as a pyramid but a Ponzi if they cannot deliver on the value that they're promising, right? The Ponzi's are classified as Ponzi's if they tell people and promise them that they're generating revenue and generating profits, but they don't actually generate profits. And this is something that's pretty easy to check on chain right now, because vaults aren't open. It's hard to prove or disprove, but come a few months, we'll know. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents of what's happening. I'm playing a lot more topic. So live TK says, I just bashed the crap out of live TK asks, have you just joined? Have you talked about core? Yes, I have, and I bashed the crap out of it. So you can just rewind a little bit and figure out what happened there. And it's up to you, right? The way I've done it now is like I know there's speculation, and yet again, it's a situation where I'm okay with speculation. I'm okay with discussing it, but yet again, I'm not okay with over promising on stuff. So it's a situation where these projects, they have to prove it, and for both my long-term and medium-term hodls, and for my most of my non-degenerate craziness, I'm much safer. That being said, of course, I do have a degenerate side. If you guys know, I've been pretty aggressive as well into newer farms, etc. And I'll talk about that in the future. But something that's important to remember is that for my degenerate amount, it's probably less than 1% of my portfolio. So I feel like it's a reverse for a lot of people, where 99% is degenerate and 1% is probably Bitcoin or whatnot. But for me, 99% is non-degenerate assets. It's just because I've been in this space for a long ass time. I've been in this here since 2012. I've experienced all the ups and all the downs, and all the ups again and all the downs again. Yeah, not planning to make this a short term. Like, it's not a short term lottery for me. So I guess that's the kind of key difference here. There is a degenerate side. I mean, everyone likes to gamble and stuff, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's just part of life. And sometimes you're early. I mean, Wi-Fi, it could have been seen as a highly speculative farm as well when it first started, right? I mean, I was the first one to talk about Wi-Fi. I did my research. I actually messaged Andre personally as well. And that's why I like the project, right? Because you talk to him, you know he's legit. But with a lot of these new ones, do I even have the time to pursue that? Who knows? But at the end of the day, I found a few good farms that works for me. I talked about Lua as well. If you guys are interested in that, or setting up something different, or there's a bunch of new ones out there. And yeah, we'll do a yield farming session later, but that's my kind of take on everything. Oh. Wave Rider says, you're taking out some risks lately or whatnot? I'm de-risking a lot recently. Like, I feel like there's more uncertainty in the market right now. So I de-risked a lot, so I can extend my runway, whatnot. I still have, like, I don't think I moved much out of crypto, but I moved out of highly speculative assets. So anything that was highly speculative or I was overexposed, I moved out of, and that was what I spent most of my time on this week, basically controlling the amount of risk I take. And everyone's risk profile is different. I'm not giving financial advice here, but at the end of the day, it's just the way it is, right? Like, I don't want to gamble. Like, and I've said this very early on this channel too. It's like, I want to be smart and consistently making money here. And I have been. Like, there have been a few bad apples, like some things that went down. But overall, this whole 3 months have been extremely profitable. And I want to keep it that way. I'd rather make medium and lose little, rather than to potentially make a lot but lose everything. If you lose everything, it's game over. It's that's not smart. So it's just personal risk profile and appetites is very different. And I've been around it for a long time, and I will be around for a long time in this space. Like I said, I have a long runway here too. I think after this whole run, I haven't cashed out yet, so I don't want to say too early. Previous I told you guys I have around an 8 to 10 year runway here, so I'm gonna be around for 8-10 years. Just burning money, no problem. But with this runway, with this current run, I can extend that. So like, maybe it could be like 20 years, but I haven't cashed out yet, so I don't want to say too early. Anyways. Yeah. Phoenix Fire says, how do you handle tax? So that's a great thing about being in Hong Kong. There's no capital gains tax here. Yeah. Magic. It's a magic of Hong Kong. So that's why a lot of people are like, oh, get out of Hong Kong, you should get out of here. But the good thing about here is capital gains. Yeah. What's that? Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. It's been 58 minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching here. I'm still in a lot of other farms. I think people are always wondering, well, am I still in YFE? Yes, I am. There's new pools up. There's new vaults up. Am I still in like Cream? Yes, I still have in Cream. I still haven't risk mitigated that too. I think that's the craziest decision I've made throughout this entire season. I'm still in Cream. That's absolutely insane. But let's see what else is there. YFL. So YFL, I still hold some. That's good. I feel like they're still building quite aggressively, and that team's known to make good stuff. Pretty much it. Like, there's a lot of other farms I'm still in. I'm still in Curve. Like, I don't know why, but I'm like, even with rewards are still bad. I mean, I'm still in Swerve. I'm still in Curve a little bit. I'm still in Sushi, not Sushi. Yeah, Sushi. I'm still in. I'm still in Sake. Anyways, the crazy part about farming is it messes with your head. So I actually have a list. Like, when I go into a farm, I take a screenshot of which farm it is and which wallet it is, and that screenshot folder is like at least like 20 odd like screenshots long. So yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. I'm tired. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sugar Zeus says, do you own ADA? If you do, you are smart. ADA is a conflicting story. ADA is a long story. It's a long story for another time. But I'm happy for the success. I'm happy for what Chris Hoskins has done. I also know some Japanese ADA whales who were the original guys who set this up. It's kind of crazy. Long stories, long stories, long industry stories on this too. I don't think that's available for this session. But anyways, that's interesting. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get some rest. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Obviously, today is very, very tiring. It's been a long time. Yeah, I think this week has been long. Probably want to get some rest, and we'll get refreshed for next week. And that's pretty much it. So, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for the discussion today. And then we should, continue on. And it's crypto. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. I'm pretty exhausted. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit the like and subscribe. I know we have 440 people here. I need to harass this more. Guys, hit that like and subscribe button. Also, this button doesn't work anymore. Also, I'll put the next stream on too. Let me go and schedule a live stream for next session. Shall we use these results? So we'll do it on Monday on the 5th. And we will do it on Monday at 11 a.m. So done. Then create this event, and I'll send you a link. And then you guys can come and join me on the next session where we talk about what's happening in crypto. Maybe there's another exciting event happening, because crypto there's never a dull moment in crypto, and I think that's why we love it. At this point though, soon guys, I see a lot of core shields here. Just watch out, guys. Core is one of those most speculative assets. I'm close to banning it because of just how aggressive people are promoting it, which is quite scary. You guys know what happened with Orbs. I don't need to tell you guys that. It was something that I'm very glad I did not get into or whatnot. Didn't even touch that stuff. Orbs just went like that. People were talking about it's the best project in the world, and then went like, yeah, that's nasty. I think it went up to like 10K and it dropped to 300. Like, it just got obliterated to nothing. Anyways, those are warning signs, man. Like, just be safe. This sell space is just crazy. I will look to ban particular topics if it gets overly aggressive, and that's it. I will say though, like, if you guys want to come and discuss stuff, you know how I closed off Telegram is to prevent overly aggressive shows. We do have a Discord being opened up, so let me go and create the Discord invite for you guys. Reason why we do Discord is because you can have multiple channels, so we can control everything a little bit better. So if you guys are interested in coming on Discord, let me copy the Discord link here, and boom, and here we go. So Discord is here, and Eminence as well. Yeah. Yuan.finance is EMN. That was another crazy coin where people just deposited $60 million into that project, and then the hacker just like took it all. It's like took $60 million, refunded half, 8 million, but not bad for a day's haul. That's just insane in this space. And it goes to show that the space, the amount of speculation is just overwhelming a little bit. And yeah, like if it was 2017 me, I would shake my hand in the air and say, no, stop speculating, idiots. But I'm mature enough to say that I can't stop the speculation, but I will call it for what it is. It is just over speculation and pretty much that. So anyways, guys, it's like every season there's going to be a big connect, right? Whether it's going to take a different name or not, who knows? But that's the link for the Discord channel. Definitely love to see you guys on. It's more free for discussion. You can talk about all you want, but we'll have different channels, maybe a very speculative channel. It's still new and ongoing, so check that out if you guys are interested. And then we have lastly the stream for tomorrow, or not stream for tomorrow, stream for Monday. Get shareable link. This goes on, restart chat. Here we go, drop it in, boom, done. That's pretty much it. So guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you smash up the likes. Let's get to 100 likes and we'll tell more stories. We got Arif says, I want to hear the ADA stories. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can tell them. I don't know. I'm sworn to secrecy on some of these things. Very, very sketchy starts sometimes too. So who knows, right? Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching today. Check out all those links. See you guys next